And it was wrong. There were tens of thousands of people that thought if you took your blood out, you would get better. It's called the doctrine of humors. They were wrong. Okay? There are also tens of thousands of people who do not believe in evolution. All the polls show that only about 9% of the population of America believes in the evolution theory with no God involved. Another 30% think God used evolution. Even the two together is a vast minority of the population, okay? So you don't go on majority opinion anyway, but if you want to go on majority opinion, then the majority support the creation view, okay? He said, this is important to me. I guess so. You get paid by the taxpayers to teach this stuff. Of course it's important to you. This argument for majority opinion implies those who don't believe in evolution are dumb. How many of you would understand that? He said, we walked into their trap. They want to put creation and evolution on an equal plane. Well, this is certainly why the evolutionists try very desperately to avoid any debates. We get turned down. I get turned down about 200 times for every one we get accepted for to do a debate on this topic. And their arguments are, we don't want to put them on an equal plane. Well, the Soviet Union teachers would say the same thing 20 years ago. We don't want to talk about capitalism and communism together. We don't want them on an equal plane because we know communism is so superior. This is obviously flawed logic about the equal plane argument that he mentioned. Students ought to be able to see all sides of the issue. If you're not showing all sides of the issue, you're indoctrinating, you're not educating. He said, facts are my true God. Well, I pointed out a bunch of things in the textbooks that are used as facts that are not true. I have yet to see any facts presented tonight that support the evolution theory. Also, I'd like you to show me any facts that have stood the test of time. I don't know if you caught what he said earlier, but he talked about creationists don't keep up on the most current research. The most current research. Well, first place, I think a lot of creationists, myself included, try to keep up on the most current research. But the fact of the matter is, the evolutionists are always relying on the most current research. They'll say, well, we just discovered in the laboratory. I say, wait a minute, right there. This theory's been around for 140 years. You're relying on things that are just discovered and haven't stood the test of time yet. Like the one in November 99, when National Geographic ran the big article about the fossil, half bird, half reptile. 3 months later, it's proven fraudulent. This happens over and over and over in the evolution theory. They teach something for a few years. Oops, we're sorry, it was wrong. Okay, let's go teach something else. Oh, we're sorry, it's wrong. Okay, we'll teach something else. Forget about this current, don't forget about the current research. I'm in favor of that. But don't use that as evidence till it has stood the test of time. Show me some facts that have stood the test of time. All of the so-called cavemen get proven wrong one by one. Nebraska man was in the textbooks for a while. Piltdown man was in the textbooks for 40 years and it was proven wrong. It was a deliberate fraud. Just study the facts and you'll see there are no facts that support evolution theory that have stood the test of time. All false theories die very hard. The geocentric theory died a horrible death along with people who dared to question it, okay? Doctrine of humors died hard. Evolution is a dying religion and its adherents are running scared. Creationists don't do science because you can't test it. Well, creationists are not asking the taxpayers to pay for their view to be taught, so the burden of proof is on the evolutionist. Richard Dawkins said, it's absolutely safe to say if you meet someone who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is ignorant, stupid, or insane, or wicked. Well, Richard Dawkins has refused to debate creationists for many years. I was over in England 2 weeks ago. I'll debate him any time with half my brain tied behind my back. Okay? If we stick with the scientific facts, tell him. We've already sent letters to him. Kenneth Miller, who teaches evolution and writes books about it, I debated him on the radio one time. He's a Catholic, writes a lot of textbooks about biology and evolution. He said evolution is controversial in some circles. As if, well, only those people who are stupid don't accept this wonderful revelation that we all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. Karl Popper said evolution is not a fact. It doesn't even qualify as a theory or hypothesis. It's a metaphysical research program. It's not testable science. Julian Huxley, Thomas Huxley's grandson, said, I suppose the reason why we leapt at the origin of species was that the idea of God interfered with our sexual mores. Ooh, now we're getting to some truth here. If you don't want God telling you what to do, that's perfectly fine. I don't care if you obey God or not. You can live your life any way you want, but don't stand behind some flimsy religion called evolution and claim that justifies your rejection of the obvious, that dogs produce dogs and cats produce cats and life begets life. There's no evidence for this evolution theory. Michael Ruse, professor of philosophy and zoology at University of Guelph, said evolution is promoted by its practitioners as more than a mere science. Evolution is promulgated as an ideology, a secular religion, a full-fledged alternative to Christianity with meaning and morality. I am an ardent evolutionist and an ex-Christian. But I must admit in this one complaint, and Mr. Gish is but one of many to make it, the literalists are absolutely right. Evolution is a religion. This was true of evolution in the beginning, and it's true of evolution still today. Sir Arthur Keith, who wrote the foreword to Darwin's 100-year anniversary book, 1959 edition to Darwin's book, Arthur Keith, who believed in evolution, said, evolution is unproved and unprovable. We believe it because the only alternative is special creation, and that is unthinkable. Professor Bonar said, evolution is a fairy tale for grown-ups. The theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It is useless. So don't tell me that all scientists believe in evolution. You're simply mistaken, okay? Plus, it wouldn't be good logic to use that as an argument because majority opinion means nothing. The majority of the Taliban thought they did what was right, okay? Malcolm Muggeridge said, I'm convinced that the theory of evolution, especially the extent to which it's been applied, will be one of the great jokes in the history books of the future. Posterity will marvel that so flimsy and dubious an hypothesis could be accepted with such incredible credulity that it has. How can people believe we all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago? Scientists who go about teaching evolution are great con men. The story they are telling is the greatest, maybe the greatest hoax ever. In explaining evolution, we do not have one iota of fact. Fred Hoyle said the only way life could have come into existence is because some superintelligence having created it. So he says, well, maybe it came here from outer space. Well, you're transplanting the problem to a different place. How did it get started? That's not a solution. Pierre de Chardin, who was involved in the fraud of Piltdown Man, okay, Catholic priest who promoted all kinds of false evidence to support the evolution theory. Pierre de Chardin said, evolution is a general postulate to which all theories, all hypotheses must henceforth bow in order to be thinkable and true. Evolution is a light which illuminates all facts, which all lines of thought must follow. This is what evolution is. You talk about a mantra. That's a religious, dogmatic statement. That's not science. Nobody's ever seen any evolution other than the micro changes we see within the same kind. My opponent asked for a testable hypothesis. Okay, here's my hypothesis. This world was created by an intelligent creator, and everything was created within a few days of each other. This is the only way to explain all the millions of symbiotic relationships we find in nature. Certain plants require certain animals require each other to transport seeds or whatever. If you want to think that these things evolve separately, you're welcome to do that, but I think it's more logical to say they're so complex they had to be designed. First of all, the design indicates there was a designer, and the complexity indicates there was a really intelligent designer, and the interrelation between all these plants and animals, including the fact that plants give off oxygen and animals give off CO2 and they reciprocate the gases, there are billions of examples that you would have to say it is best explained with a creation of these things fully formed and in close proximity to each other within a few days. Then I think there was a worldwide flood about 4,400 years ago that buried this world and produced billions and billions of fossils, which we're still digging up today. All of the fossils that we find are indication that there was a rapid burial, catastrophic burial, in enormous amounts of mud. There are layers of limestone that cover just about the entire United States. The fossil layers, the layers of rock that we see, the so-called geologic column, by the way, the geologic column does not exist except in the imagination, but the layers of the rock that we see are best explained by being deposited very rapidly, within just a few moments of each other, actually. All over the world, petrified trees are found standing up, running through multiple rock layers. People say these layers form separately over millions of years. I just don't think that's logical. Can you focus that just a little bit for me there, brother? Turn the outer one. If somebody wants to believe that these layers form, separately over millions of years, they're welcome to do that, but I think that the scientific evidence would say this is simply not true. Millions, maybe not millions, I know thousands and possibly even millions of petrified trees